Howdy all, welcome to chapter 1 of strategic management. As we go through this chapter and the others, there will be a series of short videos. I'll ask you to watch the videos and then to answer the questions that will be at the end of each video. Those questions will be posted in the discussion boards. And then I also ask you to respond to other responses that, or to react to other responses that other students have put in. This may require you to follow the discussion board for a day or two to be able to complete everything. But as we do this, I hope that we can have a positive and valuable conversation. So without further ado, let's go ahead and jump into this chapter 1 discussion. So first of all, strategic competitiveness comes when a firm makes decisions, makes commitments, takes actions to achieve above average performance and returns. Now, this phrase above average returns is something that the authors of the book really like. So you'll see that throughout the semester. But ultimately, what we're trying to do is be in the top group of firms by making the right decisions over time. So this comes down to choosing what a firm will do and what a firm will not do that leads to competitive advantage. I want to give you an example here of my strategy for Monopoly. There are things that I will do, things that I will not do. So I try to buy valuable properties, particularly light blue and orange. I ignore utilities. I don't think they're worth it. I ignore the really expensive properties, especially early on. I will buy railroads, but primarily I do that because I know that other people often will value those, and so I can use them as trade pieces. I consolidate color groups, focusing on light blue and orange, and less so on the others, although I will, depending on how things are going, I will try to get the other ones. If necessary, my priority is orange over any other color group. And then I will develop houses and hotels, again, focusing there on light blue, orange, and purple. Anything beyond that will come secondary unless it simply is that that's where the best opportunity happens if other people, or if I'm not able to consolidate the color groups that I would prefer. I find that as I do that, I am strategically competitive and have a very good chance of winning if I'm able to actually carry that out. So competitive advantage comes when a chosen strategy creates superior value for customers. This keeps customers coming back. Firms also make these decisions and are trying to find ways to line up the right choices, what they will do and what they will not do to provide value for customers who continue to bring revenue dollars and success to the company. Competitive advantage also comes when competitors are not able to imitate the value that the firm's products create or find it too expensive to attempt imitation. So another note here also is that no competitive advantage is permanent. Even Jeff Bezos has said that Amazon will get beat someday. I don't know when that will be. It may be decades from now. It may not even happen in my lifetime. But someday, some firm or some change will come and Amazon will no longer be the dominant company. So the strategic management process is the full set of commitments, decisions, and actions that firms take to achieve strategic competitiveness and earn above average returns. This involves analysis, strategy, that ultimately lead to the performance of an organization. To introduce the course here, this map of the chapters also outlines the strategic management process. In chapters 2 and 3, we talk about the analysis portion, the external environment and the internal organization. What could be done and what can the firm actually do about it based on their own strengths and weaknesses? Next, we come up with the strategy portion, and this is the bulk of what we will be talking about throughout the semester. There's the strategy formulation portion, chapters 4 through 9, and then strategy implementation, which is chapters 10 through 13, with the exception of chapter 11, which we don't actually cover. And this leads to the performance of the organization. As we go through this, it's important to consider the competitive landscape of any organization and any industry. The fundamental nature of competition in many of the world's industries is changing. So firms must understand the strategic implications and integrate digitalization effectively into their strategies as technology drives so much of what is happening. Conventional sources of competitive advantage, such as large advertising budgets and economies of scale, are not as effective today as they used to be. So managers must adopt a new mindset that values flexibility, speed, innovation, integration, and the challenges that flow from constantly changing conditions. Hypercompetition is one of these conditions. So this is where competitors engage in intense rivalry, markets can change quickly and often, and entry barriers are low. This is a condition of rapidly escalating competition based on price and quality positioning, competition to create new know-how and establish first mover advantage, largely driven by new innovation, competition to protect or invade established product and or geographic markets. And two primary drivers of hypercompetition are the emergence of a global economy and rapid technological change. In 21st century competition, we see a few major things that are driving so much of these changing competition or these changing situations. The global economy, technology, rapid technological change, and the increasing importance of knowledge and people. This is why you are here. This is why you are learning and studying business, so that you can be one of those people with the knowledge of how to best position your future organization for success. So let's talk about the global economy for a minute. Think about the countries that are represented in the clothing, backpacks, technology that you have with you today. If you were to look around your desk, look around your room, wherever it is that you might be participating right now, you will find things, and you'll find different countries that might actually surprise you at times. Obviously, a lot of things are made in China and have been for a long time, but we have an increasingly globalized economy. And it's important to note how interconnected we are. I personally find that my personal possessions have traveled the world much more and much better than I have. So the march of globalization, this is the increasing economic interdependence among countries and their organizations as reflected in the flow of products, financial capital, and knowledge across country borders. Globalization is a product of a large number of firms competing against one another in an increasing number of global economies. The increasing opportunities available in emerging economies is a major driver of growth in the size of the global economy. So globalization has led to higher performance standards with respect to quality, cost, productivity, product introduction time, and operational efficiency. Entry into international markets, even for firms with substantial experience in the global economy, requires effective use of the strategic management process. And technology facilitates much of this global expansion. So let's talk for a moment here about technology. These are trends that have driven a lot of change for decades. So we have an increasing rate of technology diffusion. We're in an information age where there's more information available to us than ever has been in the history of the world. And we have an increasing knowledge intensity that is an intangible, or can be an intangible, source of competitive advantage for organizations. Think for a minute about what countries you usually will be calling if you call customer support for a business. One of the main countries, of course, is the United States, where much of our customer service happens. But the other country that we will often find that we call is India. And think of why that might be the case. There are a lot of countries in the world that would have the infrastructure to be able to provide call centers, but India is the one that's often chosen. For one, it's a country that is still developing, so it's not too expensive. That's the reason that a lot of companies will take their customer service to India rather than leave it in the United States, is because they can save money. But there are two other things that are necessary. One is that the infrastructure is there for computers, for telephones, for internet, to be able to connect them to other parts of the world. And the other, of course, is that there are that the majority of people there speak English. There are many countries that might have the infrastructure, but don't have the English language capabilities, and therefore they would not be a good place to provide customer service in the United States, even though they might be in other places. So when we think about rapid technology diffusion, there are a number of different technologies that are part of our daily life. And these are diffusing, or they're coming faster to consumers. So for example, it took the telephone 35 years to reach 25% of homes in the US, television 26 years, radio 22, PCs 16 years, and the internet just 7 years. If we jump back to phones here, I unfortunately don't know how long it took cell phones to reach 25%, but you can see how much faster newer technologies are picked up. We live in an information age where data and information are vital to firms' efforts to understand customers and their needs. Of course, we all know that most companies that we interact with are tracking everything that they can about us. They want as much data as they can, even to the point that laws are being passed to protect our own privacy. Firms need to implement strategies and ways to satisfy customers' needs, and also implement strategies and ways to satisfy the interests of all other stakeholders. The most successful firms envision information technology-derived innovations as opportunities to identify and serve new markets, rather than as threats to the markets they serve currently. Think about how Walmart has embraced technology in retail operations. This is a company that we are all familiar with. We've all been there. If you look at the way that you can interact with them to order your groceries, for example, for grocery pickup or for delivery, the app that you use for ordering is also the same app that you can use as you're walking around in the store to help you find which aisle a particular item might be on. And from that same app, you can scan a QR code for your payout, or to pay as you check out, so that you never even have to touch a button. They've integrated technology into the shopping experience and made it much simpler, faster, more enjoyable for their customers. I was also surprised as I was preparing this, I looked up Kmart, a company that used to be a competitor to Walmart. Technically, I guess they still are, even though they are nearly gone, but they actually even have a website. But they have not adopted technology and not adopted innovation to the same way that Walmart has, which has led to their ultimate demise. And then we think about knowledge intensity, information intelligence, expertise. Knowledge is the basis of technology and its application. It's acquired through experience, observation, and inference, and can be developed by firms through training programs. It can be acquired by firms by hiring educated and experienced employees, and must be integrated into the organization to create capabilities and then applied to gain a competitive advantage. Knowledge is also necessary to create innovation. And then strategic flexibility is a set of capabilities that firms use to respond to various demands and opportunities existing in today's dynamic and uncertain competitive environment. Strategic flexibility is not easy to build, largely because of inertia that can build over time. And firms often get stuck going in one direction and have a hard time reacting to changes in the environment. Strategic flexibility requires developing the capacity for continuous learning and applying quickly new and up-to-date skill sets achieved from learning. And it can increase the probability of dealing successfully with uncertain, hyper-competitive environments. So I want you to answer question 1 here and think about strategic flexibility. Think about globalization, knowledge intensity, information diffusion, technology and everything that it does, and describe how communication, entertainment, and transportation industries have changed in the past 20 years. Once you're done with that, come back and watch the second video for chapter 1.